Have you ever tried to imagine sending a message and then having to wait not 1, not 2, but 4, even 6 weeks for a reply? Not because the other person was intentionally ignoring you, nor because they had left you on scene, but simply that was the speed of the internet in a world over 200 years ago. And that internet wasn't housed in fiber optic cables, wasn't transmitted through 4G or 5G waves, but was powered by wind-filled sails and the clatter of horse hooves on earthen roads. A network so slow that compared to today, your YouTube video buffering for 5 seconds would seem like the speed of light. In 1800, sending a letter from London to New York was not simply a matter of writing and mailing it. It was a whole journey, and each step in the process carried a sense of formality, meticulousness, and an unhurried pace that is hard for us to imagine today. First, you would have to sit at a wooden desk where daylight streamed through a narrow window and take out a skillfully sharpened quill pen, dipping it into an inkwell. Each stroke of the pen was not just information, but a piece of your soul, carefully crafted because once a mistake was made, you couldn't just Control-Z to undo it. After writing, you would gently fold the paper, drip molten red wax onto the fold, and then impress it with a family seal or a personal signet, a ritual that was both for security and to express the sender's dignity. From here, the letter began its journey across time and distance. A courier would tuck it into a leather pouch, climb aboard a horse-drawn carriage clattering over rutted roads, the cold wind whipping at his face to deliver it to the port. There, it would be stowed away with cargo, wooden crates, and other parcels in the hold of a tall sailing ship ready to cross the Atlantic. If the skies were clear and the winds favorable, you would only need to wait 4 to 6 weeks for the letter to reach New York. But the sea was not always gentle. A fierce storm could blow the ship off course, doubling the journey's length. And if true misfortune struck, like an encounter with pirates, that letter might remain forever at the bottom of the sea, and the recipient would never know that you had sent those words. In the mid-19th century, when the telegraph officially came into being, the world witnessed one of the greatest leaps forward in the history of human communication. Before then, sending a message from London to New York was an arduous journey that took weeks, even months, dependent on sailing ships and the fickle winds of the Atlantic. People were accustomed to that slow pace of life, where every letter was an adventure across the ocean, and every reply was a breath-held wait. Then one day, slender copper wires began to stretch across land, traverse oceans, and lie silent on the cold seabed. And through those wires, the dit-da of Morse code echoed like the world's new heartbeat. When people were told it would take only a few minutes to send a message from London to New York, the common reaction was impossible. To them, this speed was nothing short of magic, a speed that surpassed any concept of communication humanity had ever known. The telegraph was not just a tool, it was a shock to civilization. It allowed merchants to know prices on the other side of the Atlantic on the same day, helped politicians receive urgent orders from the capital in a flash, and brought nearly instantaneous messages from home to soldiers on the front lines. Gone were the months of waiting in vain. News could now arrive faster than the time it took to pour boiling water, drop in a tea bag, and let the aroma of Earl Grey fill the room. From the moment the telegraph was born, the world was no longer a vast fragmented map, but had become a global village, a place where information could seep through every street, every home in the blink of an eye. And from that point on, the concept of waiting was forever shortened, ushering in the era of immediacy in which we still live today. The telegraph in the mid-19th century was not just a technological invention. It was like a bolt of lightning to the human psyche. For thousands of years prior, information was bound to the speed of a person, a horse, or a ship. People lived in a world where news had such a long shelf life that you could plant an entire crop, harvest it, and still not have received a reply to the letter you sent in the spring. That slowness didn't bother anyone because it was the natural rhythm of the era. Waiting was normal, even a part of life. Then the telegraph appeared, and suddenly the world shrank.
London and New York, two cities nearly 6,000 kilometers apart, could now exchange news in minutes, a speed that had previously existed only in the imagination. People were stunned, then amazed, then swept up in an unprecedented excitement. For the first time, news traveled faster than the wind, crossing the ocean without a single ship. But more important was the change in the human mind. Once people knew that information could arrive instantly, they began to expect it everywhere, all the time. Delay, once a normal part of life, now became a source of impatience. A telegram arriving a few hours late was enough to cause annoyance, just as we frown today when we open our phones to a weak Wi-Fi signal or a lagging 4G or 5G connection. The telegraph laid the first stone for the concept of a flat world, a space where geographical distance was merely a number on a map, not a practical barrier. Merchants began to trade faster, politicians could react immediately to events on the other side of the globe, and families could receive news from loved ones overseas almost instantly. Time was compressed, and the flywheel of society suddenly accelerated. From that moment, humanity entered a new state. Always connected, always updated, always wanting to know right now instead of wait until tomorrow. And once that feeling was tasted, no one wanted to return to the time of letters that took months to travel. The telegraph was not just an invention, it was the catalyst that started our addiction to speed, and that flywheel, once set in motion, would never slow down. Today, when all information can be transmitted in the blink of an eye, the handwritten letter is no longer a tool for urgent news, nor is it the hotline of bygone affections. It has left its role as a primary means of communication to become a spiritual gift, an art of slowness. If an email is a job application and a messenger text is a perfunctory nod, then a handwritten letter is like a conversation on the porch on a golden afternoon as a gentle breeze blows and the tea kettle softly whistles. A handwritten letter today carries a value that no messaging app can replicate, the trace of time and the human hand. The paper doesn't just hold words, it also holds the creases, the smudges of ink, and even a faint scent. Things a PDF file or a text message can never possess. The writer must sit down, put pen to paper, and let the words flow from genuine emotion, unable to be easily typed, deleted, or edited as on a screen. Each slanted stroke is a breath, a private moment sealed in an envelope. When receiving a handwritten letter, one doesn't just read, one experiences it. Fingers trace the edge of the envelope, a thrill like opening a treasure chest. The rustle of the paper, the ink impressed upon its surface, sometimes a small photograph tucked inside or a pressed dried leaf. To read a handwritten letter is to read both the story and the person who wrote it. In every line, one hears a familiar voice, sees a face, and feels the journey the letter has made. In an age where everything is now or never, the handwritten letter is like pour-over craft coffee in a world of machine-brewed espresso. It demands time, patience, and a touch of ritual. You can't drink it right away. You must wait for the water to drip, inhale the aroma, and let the coffee's flavor slowly spread across your tongue. The same goes for a handwritten letter. It cannot be rushed because its very slowness is what creates its value. Perhaps that is why, in a world of mouse clicks and instant scene receipts, a handwritten letter can still make someone's heart flutter. It contains not just information, but a piece of the sender's soul. And when you hold it in your hands, you know that while news may arrive in a millisecond, some things should only arrive slowly, so that when they finally reach you, they feel truly precious. The world today moves faster than at any other point in history. Everything is measured in seconds, even milliseconds. We are used to getting things at the push of a button, receiving an answer as soon as we ask, and downloading a video in a single breath. Yet, the more we live in this vortex of speed, the more we risk missing the slow, subtle moments. moments that were once an essential part of life. The handwritten letter is proof of a value that speed cannot buy: deep connection. It gives us time to think of one another, to pour our hearts into every word, and to wait in suspense. In that waiting period, affection isn't swept away by the whirlwind of instant, but is allowed to settle, ripen, and become more precious.
There's something interesting when you receive a handwritten letter. You are holding a physical artifact of time and affection, something that technology cannot perfectly replicate. The smudged ink, the trembling handwriting, even the scent lingering on the paper. All are details that no PDF or email can ever reproduce. And who knows, perhaps in some future, when internet speeds reach the speed of light, when artificial intelligence can answer you before you even ask the question, it will be the slow, manual, outdated things like a handwritten letter that become treasures of emotion. It will be a reminder that not everything of value needs to be fast, and sometimes, to truly touch a heart, we need to go a little slower. Because after all, what we seek is not just information, but connection. And that connection, like a handwritten letter, is only truly meaningful when it bears the mark of a human, of time, and of affection sent from one heart to another.
If you enjoy this video, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to the latest update from my channel. Thank you for watching till the end, and see you in the next video.